know 2020 has started with some difficult challenges. We have tensions with Iran, we have coronavirus, and now we have these visa restrictions. But I'm an optimist by heart, and so I'm really excited about some of the good things that are happening in our relationship, which include the American Central Asia strategy, which is being announced this week, the meeting in Tashkent between Secretary Pompeo and Minister of Foreign Affairs Aderbekov, and all the things that we as an embassy and a government are doing to support President Jaybekov's vision for digitalization this year. I'm very confident that this will be a successful year for Kyrgyzstan and for U.S.-Kyrgyz relations. Washington has made this difficult decision based largely on the lack of a secure biometric passport for Kyrgyz citizens. And we have been meeting this week with several government officials, with the President's office, with the Foreign Ministry, and with the State Registration Service, and I'm confident that Kyrgyz leaders are committed to the issuance of this passport as quickly as possible, and we hope that this action will encourage them to do so. Today I met with the chairman of GRS, Mr. Mambetov, and we had a very frank discussion about what steps would be helpful to show Washington that Kyrgyzstan is serious about issuing this new biometric passport. And I was really encouraged by the response. We asked for transparency from GRS, and he promised that sort of transparency, and we offered technical assistance in order to support his efforts to issue very quickly a biometric passport for Kyrgyz travelers. The main criteria was the lack of a secure biometric passport in the Kyrgyz Republic. If you look at the International Civil Aviation Organization website, you can see a map of all the countries in the world who have a biometric passport and who do not. This is very important. Over 150 countries in the world have this passport, and all of them, including the Kyrgyz Republic, who do not have this passport, are working really hard to try to get it for their citizens. The other thing I would point out is we are encouraging the government to put in place systems that prevent non-Kyrgyz citizens from getting Kyrgyz passports. And also, in terms of lost and stolen Kyrgyz passports, we really like to encourage the Kyrgyz Ministry of Interior to report those to Interpol, the international police, every month. But let me assure you, this decision has nothing to do with other issues in our relationship. It's purely a technical decision. And in fact, our relations have become 100% better over these past 2 years. If people watching this show already have a green card, or maybe they already have a valid visitor visa or immigration visa, this does not affect them in any way. This only applies to 2 categories: immigration visas, the issuance of the new visas, or new visas for green card lottery recipients. We have over 7,000 Kyrgyz citizens who have come to the U.S. Embassy in the past year to apply for a visa. And we pride ourselves on providing fast and efficient service and to get those decisions back to them as quickly as possible. About half of those visa applicants were successful. As you know, there are some people in Central Asia who have stayed illegally in the United States. And so we're trying to reduce that number by providing accurate information to the Kyrgyz public about what's required to get an American visa. And hopefully over time that number will go down. I've seen that in the media also. Overall, when you add all of our visas together of every category, it's about 50% are. Truth is, we're not really sure how many U.S. citizens live in the Kyrgyz Republic. We think it's about 1,000, but the majority of those are Kyrgyz Americans, meaning ethnic Kyrgyz people who immigrated many years ago to the United States, become American citizens. They also may have Kyrgyz citizenship, and then they return to Kyrgyzstan, maybe for work, or maybe because they want to be close to their families here. And what I know is Kyrgyz hospitality has been wonderful for American citizens for all of these years, and I expect that that will continue. Now, as I said before, these new restrictions do not in any way restrict us for tourist visas. And what I can see, I've lived now in the Kyrgyz Republic for several years, is that more and more people from Central Asia, including Kyrgyzstan, are traveling to the United States. We now issue a 5-year multiple entry visa, which means that you don't have to come every year to the embassy to get a visa. If you get our visa, you can travel freely for 5 years back and forth as many times as you want. I tell my friends, what's so important when they come to apply for an American visa is that they are able to talk about why they're going to the United States, who is paying for the trip, and why are they coming home. In fact, I think for most people, if they can do that, they stand a pretty good chance of getting a visa. So that's my personal advice. I don't give the visas, but I know that we have very dedicated staff here who are working to uphold American law and try to maximize the number of people who are qualified to get American visas. As you may know, I worked in the Kyrgyz Republic 17 years ago, and so I saw at that time Azatik under a lot of pressure from various different governments. But we've been really encouraged by the positive statements by President Jeenbekov about how he values the work of Azatik. And I know many Kyrgyz people also value the work that they do. I can't really comment on this court case by the Matraimov family, but what I can say is I expect Azatik to always be in the Kyrgyz Republic, and I know that they are not afraid of anyone. I'm the U.S. ambassador to the Kyrgyz Republic, so I'm biased because I work here, but I've seen Azatik perform this really important role of telling the truth about corruption, about organized crime, over and over here in the Kyrgyz Republic. I know that they play the same role throughout Central Asia, but I would argue that the free media environment in the Kyrgyz Republic has allowed them to play an even more important role here in the history of the Kyrgyz Republic. Over 4.5 years I've lived in Bishkek and in Kyrgyzstan. Every year I see the media environment getting freer and freer. When I lived here many years ago, 17 years ago, almost all media was controlled by the state. And there were very few independent media sources. But then with the explosion of the internet and the growth of private television and print media, there's so many more voices in the media environment today. I think today we don't struggle so much with censorship, we struggle with fake news. But I know the Kyrgyz people are smart, and I think they know the difference between what's real news and what's fake news. Since the establishment of an independent Kyrgyz Republic, one of the strongest pillars of your democracy has always been a free and independent civil society. It's stronger than anywhere else in the former Soviet Union. What I can see from this draft law is it would be selective in its application, and it would possibly duplicate other laws already in effect. Our worry is it would affect a broad scope of NGOs, including possibly business associations. Again, I think the Kyrgyz people are too smart to adopt a law that would possibly weaken one of the strongest parts of their democracy. Очень нравится встретиться с людьми, особенно в регионах. И один из моих самых любимых поездки были недавно в городе Баткен, потому что там я видел так огромные изменения и развитие в городе последние 15 лет. И я знаю, что для киргизских людей есть нетерпение для реформы, для изменений, но как иностранец в Кыргызстане я вижу так красивые, огромные, важные изменения в обществе здесь. Мы со семьей любим гулять в горах, кататься на беговых лыжах. Нам нравится смотреть фильм и путешествовать в Кыргызстане и вообще за рубежом. И у меня есть один новый хобби. Последние 6 лет я строю деревянный модель корабля. Это очень сложные и трудные модели, и для меня мне надо много времени. Я только закончил один модель, это было 3 года для меня. Это сидит в посольстве в Албании, где я работал как послом раньше, и я стараюсь сейчас строю побольше и красивее модель, потому что я хочу, что это сидит здесь в Бишкеке. Потому что она родилась последний раз, когда мы здесь жили в Кыргызстане. Самое красивое имя. Сегодня воздух, слава богу, очень хороший, но как люди в Бишкеке вообще знают, что это не всегда хорошо зима. Но мы стараемся работать с правительством, с гражданским сообществом, помогать людям здесь, которые хотят сделать реформы, которые увеличивают качество воздуха. Например, мы обеспечиваем финансирование для НПО, которые работают в сфере экологии. Есть в посольстве это монитор, который обеспечивает аккуратную информацию для всех в Кыргызстане. I have 2 jobs as a U.S. ambassador here. One of my jobs is to represent the U.S. government, and so I will certainly always follow the instructions of my president and his senior officials in the administration. My second job is to try to resolve problems in our relationship, and this is certainly a problem. So I am working with my colleagues in the embassy, with colleagues in Washington, and with colleagues here in the government. I work nights, we work on weekends, we work during the day, every day to try to resolve this as quickly as possible. And I'm confident that with the cooperation of all of us that we're going to be able to resolve this very quickly.